Your absence will teach them what your presence never could. Let that one settle in for a second, my friends. Let it echo, because today we're about to crack wide open one of the biggest lies you've been told about love, dating, and connection. You've been led to believe that if someone lets you go, if they ghost you, if they act like you never mattered, they're gone for good, right? You think it's over. They've moved on. You've been replaced. But then, why do they always come back? Let's get real. You've felt it. You've sat there wondering, head spinning, heart racing, asking yourself, why now? Why are they texting me again? Why are they watching my stories after months of silence? It's like clockwork. They slip away like water through your fingers, and then just when you've started to rebuild, they come knocking again. Folks, I know this dance all too well. You've been on the receiving end of those late-night texts, those "hey, stranger" messages, the random likes on posts from 6 months ago. They act like nothing happened. But here's what we're going to do right now. We're flipping that whole script on its head. This isn't about them anymore. No, my friends, this is about you. Because guess what? The reason they always come back has nothing to do with how much you chased them, or how hard you tried, or how many chances you gave. No, it's about the one thing they never thought they'd lose: your energy. You see, you've been carrying something powerful, something magnetic, something they didn't appreciate until it was gone. Your energy, your vibe, your presence. It's like sunlight. They basked in it every day without even realizing they needed it. But the moment you pulled that light away, the moment you sat behind the horizon like the sun setting at dusk, they felt the cold, and that chill, that's what pulls them back. Let me hit you with a metaphor that'll stick with you. Imagine being in a room with a steady ticking clock. At first, the sound is loud. Tick-tock, tick-tock. You can't ignore it. But after a while, you stop hearing it. It fades into the background. It becomes part of the scenery. But then one day, that ticking just stops. Silence. And suddenly, that quiet feels deafening. That's your presence, my friends. They stopped noticing it while it was there. But the moment it went silent, oh, they felt it. They felt the gap where your energy used to be. And here's the lie that's been fed to you, that you need to keep showing up, keep proving, keep chasing, so they won't forget you. But that's not love. That's fear. That's ego. And today, we're done playing by those rules. This isn't about getting back at them. This isn't about making them regret. This is about owning yourself so fiercely that their regret doesn't even move you anymore. Because here's the truth. Your worth doesn't drop when someone leaves. Your value isn't defined by whether they stay or go. It's defined by you. You've been standing there, holding out your heart like a gift, hoping someone will recognize its value. But let me remind you of something powerful. You are the prize. You always have been. And when you realize that, when you stand still in that truth, they feel it. The energy shifts. They feel the gravity of your absence, and it pulls at them in ways words never could. It's not about revenge. It's not about playing games. It's about rising so high in your own worth that they can't help but notice the space you left behind. Like a star that burned so bright, they can still feel the warmth long after it's gone. So let's start this journey together. Let's own our space, reclaim our energy, and stop handing out our light to people who don't know how to hold it. Say it with me, right here, right now. I am the prize. Write it in the comments, folks. Let the world know. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more of these reminders that your energy is powerful, your worth is untouchable, and your peace is priceless. Stay with me, my friends, because we're just getting started. Number 1. The illusion of better wears off. They thought the grass was greener until they realized it was fake turf. Let's start right there, my friends, because that one hits hard. That's the truth most people can't admit out loud. It's the lie they sold themselves when they let you go. They convinced themselves that there was something better out there. Someone shinier, someone newer, someone with more sparkle, more mystery, more whatever it was they thought they were missing. They believed the fantasy, the idea that if they left, if they moved on, if they chased the next thing, they'd finally find that perfect, ever-elusive something. But let me tell you the truth they don't want to face. They left substance for surface. They traded depth for novelty. And at first, oh yeah, it feels good. It feels exciting. It feels like they made the right choice. You know how it is when you try something new. That rush, that dopamine hit, that sense of possibility. But here's the thing about novelty. It wears off, fast. Let me hit you with this metaphor. Picture someone starving, walking into a fast food joint. They order the biggest, juiciest-looking burger on the menu. It's dripping with sauce, stacked high, looking like a 5-star meal on the billboard outside. And when they take that first bite, instant satisfaction. It's salty, greasy, addictive. It fills them up, but give it some time. That feeling fades. The grease settles, the hunger returns, and worse than before. The meal was empty calories, no nourishment, no real substance. And now, they're not just hungry, they're sick. Meanwhile, you were the home-cooked meal, steady, nourishing, filled with care. The kind of meal that takes time, that's made with love, that leaves you full long after the plate is empty. But they didn't want that at the time. They wanted fast food. They wanted the quick fix. And now they're sitting there, stomach rumbling, realizing they left the table where the real feast was served. But I know what some of you are feeling right now. You're asking, if they always come back, why does it hurt so much when they leave? You're wondering, why wasn't I enough for them to stay in the first place? And oh, my friends, I hear that pain. It's real. It cuts deep. Because when someone leaves you for what seems like something better, it feels like they're telling you you're not good enough. It feels like they're saying you weren't exciting enough, interesting enough, worthy enough. But here's the lie we're breaking today. It was never about you lacking anything. It was about them not being ready to value depth. It was about their addiction to the chase, to the thrill, to the next big thing. And let me tell you, folks, that's a treadmill that never ends. They keep running, chasing that next high, and they never realize that the real gold was right in front of them the whole time. Because here's how it works. Novelty feels like everything at first. It's the glitter, the fireworks show, the bright lights. But once that fades, people crave connection. They crave stability. They crave someone who sees them, really sees them, and holds space for them. That's you. You're not the firework. You're the bonfire. The steady flame that keeps burning long after the sparks of the firework have disappeared into the night sky. But I know what fear says. Fear whispers in your ear. What if they don't come back? What if they find someone better and never look back? And that fear, that's the voice of someone who has been conditioned to believe that they have to be more, to be enough. That if you were just a little flashier, a little louder, a little more mysterious, they wouldn't have left. But that's not true. That's not who you are. You're not here to compete with the noise. You're here to be the peace they realize they needed all along. Let me hit you with another quote, one that's going to stick. What glitters isn't always gold, and what's real never has to shine to be valuable. Remember that, because while they were out there chasing the glitter, you stayed gold. You stayed steady. And here's the hard truth. They needed to lose you to realize it. They needed to go eat that fast food, get sick on it, feel the emptiness before they could appreciate the meal they walked away from. And I won't lie to you, my friends. This part, this waiting game, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, because standing in your worth means resisting the urge to prove yourself. It means holding your ground while they go off chasing whatever shiny thing caught their eye. It means trusting that depth always outlasts novelty. But oh, when the dust settles, when the glitter fades, when they realize the grass was just plastic under their feet, that's when they remember you. That's when they feel the absence of what was real. But here's the magic. By the time they come back, by the time they realize they left something real for something temporary, you've leveled up, you've grown, you've built a life so full, so rich, that their regret doesn't shake you. Because you're not waiting at the table anymore. You've built a whole feast for yourself. And whether they pull up a chair again or not, you're still eating well. You're still thriving. So here's your affirmation today, my friends. Say it with me. I am the feast. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you are the meal that satisfies long after the cravings for fast food fade. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more of these reminders that you're the gold, not the glitter. And stay with me, because next we're diving deep into how time reveals what ego can't see. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Number 2. Time reveals what ego can't see. Ego makes them leave. Time makes them realize. Let that one settle in your bones for a second, my friends, because today we're peeling back another layer of this story, another truth that most people can't face. See, when someone walks away from you, when they ghost, when they drift into silence, it feels personal, right? It feels like they made some clear-eyed, thought-out decision that you weren't worth sticking around for, that you weren't enough. But here's the real story behind that move. It wasn't their heart talking. It was their ego. And ego? Oh, ego's loud. Ego is impatient. Ego wants to feel powerful, wanted, chased. Ego doesn't care about connection. It cares about control. Ego makes decisions in the heat of the moment, in the rush of, I can do better. I don't need this. I'll be fine without them. And in that moment, ego feels like it's winning, like it's calling the shots, like it's making the right move. But time doesn't listen to ego. Time is patient. Time is the truth teller. Time reveals what ego can't see in the moment. Time strips away the noise. Because, my friends, the rush of ego fades, but your absence lingers. Ego might have convinced them to leave, but time is what makes them sit in the silence. Time is what makes them notice the gap where your presence used to be. Let me hit you with a metaphor that paints this perfectly. Imagine they're listening to a song. It comes on the playlist, one they've heard before, but they skip right over it. Too slow, not what they're in the mood for. They want something fast, something loud, something that hits right away. But then, one day, that same song comes back on, and this time, they let it play. They hear the lyrics, the depth, the story woven between the notes, and suddenly it hits different. Suddenly they realize the beauty in what they skipped over. That's you. You're the song they skipped because their ego wasn't ready to listen. But time makes them hear you clearly. Now I know what some of you are feeling. You're wondering, but why didn't they see my worth in the moment? Why did they have to leave to understand it? And that's a fair question. It's one we all wrestle with. Because it hurts to know that someone had to lose you to see your value. It feels like you weren't enough in real time. But here's the thing, you were always enough. They just weren't ready to receive it. Their ego wasn't ready to slow down, to listen to the song, to feel the depth of what you were offering. Because ego is all about immediate gain, the next thrill, the next validation, the next quick fix. Ego feeds on attention, not connection. But time doesn't rush. Time forces reflection. Time lets the silence stretch out long enough that the noise fades. And when that noise is gone, that's when the truth speaks. Let me drop another truth bomb on you. Presence becomes invisible, but absence stands out. When you were there, they couldn't see the value you brought because their ego was too focused on the next thing. But when you stepped back, when you detached, when your energy pulled away, that's when the echo of your presence started to ring in their ears. And no amount of ego can drown that out. But I get it, my friends. Waiting for time to do its work is hard. It feels like standing still while they run off chasing distractions. It feels like watching them skip the song again and again, hoping one day they'll finally hear it. And that's where the work comes in. That's where you have to resist the urge to chase, to explain, to remind them of your value. Because it's not your job to convince them. It's time's job to show them. And trust me, time always comes through. But here's where it gets real. While time is working on them, it's also working on you. Time gives you space to grow, to heal, to rise. By the time they circle back, by the time they finally hear the song they skipped, you've changed. You've become stronger, clearer, more rooted in your worth. And maybe you'll let them back in, maybe not. But either way, you're no longer the person they left behind. Because that's the power of absence, my friends. It's not just a void, it's a space for growth. It's where you remember who you are without their attention clouding your vision. It's where you stop being background noise in someone else's life and become the headline in your own. So here's your affirmation today. Time reveals my worth. Say it out loud. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you're not rushing to prove anything. You're letting time do the talking. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more of these reminders that your value doesn't fade just because someone couldn't see it. Stay with me, my friends, because next, we're diving into the emotional gravity that pulls people back when you least expect it. And trust me, you're going to feel this one. Number 3, emotional gravity always pulls back. 700 words. What's real doesn't disappear. It waits, it holds, it pulls. Let's sit with that, my friends, because we're stepping into the deep stuff now. The invisible forces that keep working long after words stop, after contact breaks, after you've let go. This is where we talk about emotional gravity, the pull of something real. You know it. You've felt it. That unseen force that keeps connecting two people, even when there's distance, even when there's silence, even when everything on the surface says it's over. See, people like to think that when they walk away from something, it's gone. Out of sight, out of mind. They move on to the next thing, distract themselves with new faces, new places, new thrills, but real connection. Oh, that doesn't just disappear. That's not something you can switch off like a light. Real connection is like gravity. It's unseen, but it's powerful. It holds, it waits, and it pulls. Let me hit you with a metaphor that explains this perfectly. Picture the sun and the planets. The planets drift. They orbit. Sometimes closer, sometimes farther. But the pull of the sun, it never stops. That gravity keeps them in orbit, no matter how far they wander. The sun doesn't chase. The sun doesn't move. The sun just is. It holds its space, burning steady. And the planets? They come back around. That's you. You're the sun. Your energy, your presence, your worth. It has gravity. And when you detach, when you stop chasing, when you hold your space, that pull starts working. But I know, my friends, I know how hard it is to trust in that pull. When someone drifts away from you, when they ghost, when they move on, it feels like the connection has snapped. It feels like they're gone forever. And the urge to chase, to close the distance, to pull them back in with words, with effort, it's loud, it's strong. You start questioning yourself, thinking, if I just reached out, if I just reminded them I'm here, maybe they'd come back. But that's not how gravity works. You don't have to run after what's meant to orbit around you. You just have to hold your space. Let me drop another truth bomb on you. The sun never begs the planets to stay. It shines, and they return. You shine, my friends. You hold steady in your worth, in your peace, in your energy. And the right people, the ones with real connection, they feel that pull. They feel it in the quiet moments, in the silence, when the noise of the world fades, and they're left with the echo of what you shared. And yeah, I know what fear says. Fear whispers, what if they drift too far? What if they never feel the pull again? That fear wants you to break your own orbit. It wants you to chase, to move, to shrink yourself just to hold on to them. But that's not your role here. You're the sun. You're not meant to chase. You're meant to attract. Because here's what ego doesn't tell them in the moment. They can distract themselves all they want, but that emotional gravity? It keeps tugging at them. It's subtle at first. A thought here, a memory there. But over time, that pull grows stronger, and the farther they drift, the more they feel it. But I won't lie to you. Holding your space takes strength. It takes faith. Because you can't always see gravity working. It's invisible. And sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. But it is. Oh, it is. The pull of something real doesn't disappear just because you can't see it. It works in the background, slowly, steadily, drawing them back to where the warmth is, to where the light is, to you. And the best part? While they're out there feeling that pull, you're not standing still. You're growing. You're rising. You're becoming even more magnetic, because holding your space isn't passive. It's powerful. It's saying, I know my worth doesn't decrease just because someone else couldn't see it. It's trusting that what's meant to be in your orbit will find its way back, not because you chased, but because you stayed true to yourself. So let me give you your affirmation for today, my friends. I hold my gravity. Say it. Feel it. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you don't have to chase to be valued. You don't have to beg to be noticed. You shine. You hold your space. And the right people will feel that pull. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more of these reminders that your energy is powerful, your presence is enough, and your worth is steady. Stay with me, my friends, because next we're getting into the law of scarcity and why your absence makes you priceless. Number 4. The law of scarcity. Why absence adds value. Familiarity breeds complacency, but absence breeds appreciation. Let that one hit home, my friends. This is where we talk about value, and not the kind of value that's measured in words, but the kind that's felt in absence. See, when you're always there, always available, always giving your energy, your presence, your attention, they get used to it. It becomes normal, expected, background noise. They stop noticing the gift that's right in front of them because it's always there. That's the danger of familiarity. It makes even the most precious things feel ordinary. But let me hit you with some truth. The second you step back, the second you pull away that steady stream of energy, that's when the law of scarcity kicks in. Because what's always available is taken for granted. But what's rare becomes priceless. Here's the metaphor for this one. Imagine a rare gem sitting on a shelf. Maybe it's been there a while. People walk past it every day. Some stop and look, but most don't notice. It's there, it's steady, it's familiar. But one day, that gem is gone. Someone moves it, takes it off the shelf. Suddenly, everyone notices. People who barely glanced at it before are now wondering where it went, realizing they overlooked something valuable. That's you, my friends. You are that gem. And when you stay too available, too easy to reach, too quick to give, people stop seeing you for what you are. But the second you remove yourself, the second your presence is no longer a given, that's when they realize. And I know what the fear says. Fear whispers, if I pull back, they'll forget me. If I stop giving, they'll move on. But that fear is lying to you. Because here's the truth. If your constant presence was the only thing holding them there, they were never really present to begin with. The right people don't forget you when you create space. They appreciate you more. They start to feel the weight of your absence. Let me drop this quote on you. What's given too freely is rarely valued deeply. Your attention, your energy, your presence. These are gifts, and gifts aren't meant to be handed out endlessly to people who don't recognize their worth. They're meant to be treasured, respected, valued. And when you hold back, when you let yourself become rare, that's when the appreciation grows. But I get it. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like you're risking everything by pulling back. But here's the paradox, my friends. Absence adds value. It creates space for reflection. It makes people see what they overlooked. And that space, that silence, it speaks louder than any words ever could. So here's your affirmation for today. I am rare. Say it. Believe it. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that your energy is not free for all. It's valuable. It's rare. It's worth being appreciated. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more reminders that your presence holds weight and your absence holds power. Stay with me, my friends, because next we're talking about how detachment changes the power dynamic, and you're going to feel that shift. Number 5. Detachment changes the power dynamic. You're not playing their game anymore. You're writing your own rules. Say that one out loud, my friends. Feel the shift in that, because this is where everything starts to flip. This is where you stop being a piece on their board, playing their game by their rules, and start setting your own. This is the power of detachment. It's not cold. It's not cruel. It's not about pretending you don't care. No, detachment is about stepping back, reclaiming your power, and resetting the entire dynamic. See, when you're always reacting, always texting first, always breaking the silence, always explaining yourself, you're playing the game they set up. You're feeding the machine, keeping it running. But the second you detach, the second you stop responding the way they expect, the whole system crashes. They're left standing there, holding the power cords, realizing they've got nothing left to plug into. Let me give you the metaphor that makes this crystal clear. Imagine they've been tapping into your energy like a power grid. Every time they need a boost, every time they want attention, validation, reassurance, they flip the switch and bam, your light comes on. But the moment you unplug, the lights go out. They hit that switch, expecting the same response. But now they're left in the dark. That blackout, that's when they notice the energy they've been taking for granted. And, oh, they feel it. They might not say it right away. They might not show it. But they feel the shift. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop giving them that easy access to your energy, they're left with nothing but their own reflection. No distractions, no background noise. Just the echo of what they didn't appreciate. But I know, detaching feels hard. It feels unnatural at first, because you've been trained to believe that love means always showing up, always giving, always being there. You've been conditioned to think that if you stop, if you pull back, everything will fall apart. But here's the truth, my friends. If detaching makes them disappear, they were never really connected. They were just plugged into your power, using it to light up their own ego. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to stop playing a game that drains you. It means you stop giving the same reactions, the same patterns, the same energy, and start writing your own rules. Because when you detach, when you unplug from their power grid, you force them to sit with the blackout. You force them to feel the emptiness where your light used to be. So here's your affirmation for today. I write my own rules. Say it, believe it, write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you are no longer playing by anyone else's game plan. You're setting the terms now. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more of these reminders that your power is yours to hold. Stay with me, my friends, because next we're diving into why self-respect is the most attractive energy you can carry. You don't want to miss this one. Number 6. Self-respect is the most attractive energy. Nothing is sexier than someone who doesn't need you. Let that one roll around in your mind for a second, my friends. Feel the weight of that truth. Because we've been fed the opposite message for far too long. We've been told that to be loved, we have to bend, we have to chase, we have to need someone else. But here's the real deal. Neediness repels. Self-respect attracts. It's not desperation that pulls people in. It's confidence. It's knowing you're whole, standing tall in your worth, and not waiting for someone else to fill in the gaps. When you stop chasing, when you stop begging for scraps of attention, validation, or love, that's when the dynamic shifts. That's when people feel the difference. Because self-respect is magnetic. It's the energy of someone who knows they are complete, whether or not anyone else shows up. And that, my friends, is what draws people in. Let me hit you with a metaphor that paints the picture. Imagine a flame, a steady, powerful flame that burns on its own. It doesn't flicker, it doesn't die down, it doesn't need anyone else to throw fuel on it to keep going. It burns because it knows it can. That flame, that's you. When you're rooted in self-respect, in confidence, in knowing your worth, you burn steady. You don't need to chase anyone to feel seen. And that flame, people are drawn to it. They feel its warmth. They feel its light. They want to be close to it. But it's not because you're reaching out. It's because you're standing tall, burning bright on your own. But I know what some of you are feeling right now. You're thinking, but if I don't chase, won't they forget me? Won't they move on? And I hear that fear. It's real. It's the fear that if you stop trying, if you stop proving, you'll be left alone. But that fear, that's the voice of scarcity. That's the voice of someone who's been taught to believe that love has to be earned, that worth has to be proven, and we're not playing that game anymore. Let me drop this truth on you. The right people are drawn to your strength, not your weakness. They're drawn to your confidence, to your peace, to your self-respect. When you show that you're good either way, that you're whole, that you're thriving whether or not they show up, that's when they feel the pull. That's when they realize they can't just take from you without giving back. Because you're not out here begging for love. You're standing in it. Here's the thing about energy, my friends. It doesn't lie. You can say you're fine, you can say you're confident, but if you're chasing, if you're overgiving, if you're shrinking yourself to keep someone close, they feel that. They feel the desperation beneath the words. But when you stand still, when you hold your space, when you stop reaching and let them come to you, that's when they feel the shift. That's when they feel your power. And, oh, I know it's not easy. It feels unnatural at first. It feels like you're giving up. But here's the truth. It's not giving up. It's leveling up. It's choosing yourself over the chase. It's saying, I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not begging anyone to sit down. That's power. That's attraction. That's self-respect. And let me tell you, when you move like that, when you burn steady like that flame, people notice. Even if they don't say it, they feel it. Because nothing is sexier, nothing is more magnetic than someone who knows they're whole on their own. Someone who doesn't need but chooses. Someone who doesn't chase but attracts. That's you. That's your power. So, here's your affirmation today. I am enough. Say it. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you are whole, that you are burning bright, that you don't need to chase to be seen. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more reminders that your self-respect is your superpower. Stay with me, my friends, because next we're talking about how their ego misses control, not love. And trust me, this one's going to open your eyes. Number 7. Their ego misses control, not love. They don't miss the love, they miss the leash. Let's just hit it hard right from the start, my friends, because this one cuts deep, but it also sets you free. See, when they circle back, when that old flame sends that "Hey stranger" text out of nowhere, it's easy to think, they miss me. They finally realized what they lost. They finally see my worth. But hold up. Let's peel back that curtain. Let's look past the words and straight into the energy behind it. Because 9 times out of 10, It's not love they're missing, it's control. Let me say that again for the folks in the back. It's not love they crave, it's the power they had over you. The comfort of knowing you'd respond. The reassurance that you'd still be there, ready to explain, ready to apologize, ready to fix things, to chase them. They don't miss the depth of your love. They miss the leash that let them tug on your emotions anytime they felt lonely, insecure, or bored. Let me paint a metaphor that hits this home. Imagine a puppeteer holding strings. For as long as those strings are tight, the puppeteer feels in control. They lift an arm, you move. They pull a string, you react. It's a dance they lead. They know which button to push, which move to make, and they feel that power in every pull. But what happens when you cut the strings? When you stop reacting, stop responding, stop playing the part? The puppeteer. They're left holding nothing, just dangling strings and empty hands. That's the panic they feel when you detach. Not the loss of love, but the loss of control. And I know, my friends, it's tempting to believe it's love. It feels good to think they finally get it, that they've come back because they see your value now. But you've got to ask yourself, what are they really showing up for? Are they showing up with changed actions? Are they ready to meet you where you are, to respect your worth, to build something solid? Or are they just looking to feel that old familiar power again? The power of knowing they can pull a string and you'll move. Here's the thing about ego. It hates losing control. The ego doesn't like silence. It doesn't like unanswered texts. It doesn't like being ignored. And when you detach, when you stop playing that game, you leave them in the dark with their own reflection. And that reflection, it makes the ego itch. It makes the ego panic. It makes them reach out, not because their heart is pulling them back, but because their ego can't stand the silence. But I get it. I get that it feels confusing. That little voice inside whispers, but what if this time is different? What if they really do miss me? And maybe, just maybe, it is. But here's how you'll know the difference. Love returns with changed behavior. Ego returns with the same patterns. Love shows up with consistency, with effort, with respect. Ego shows up with breadcrumbs, just enough to keep you wondering, questioning, doubting. Ego returns for the power. Love returns for the connection. Let me drop another truth bomb. Ego seeks reassurance. Love seeks understanding. When someone comes back, watch their actions. Are they here to understand you, to grow with you, to honor your space? Or are they here to feel powerful again, to feel wanted, to feel in control? That's the question you need to ask. And I won't lie, cutting the strings feels scary. It feels like you're losing the connection, like you're walking away from something that mattered. But here's the truth, my friends. You're not losing connection. You're losing control disguised as love. And trust me, once you cut those strings, once you step out of that dance, you free yourself to experience the real thing. So here's your affirmation for today. I cut the strings. Say it, feel it, write it in the comments, show them, show yourself. Show the world that you are done dancing for someone else's comfort. You are done being the puppet. You're holding your space now. You're standing tall. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more of these reminders that your peace is your power. Stay with me, my friends, because next we're stepping into the ultimate stoic comeback, the moment where you rise so high they have no choice but to look up. You don't want to miss this. Number 8, the ultimate comeback. You don't care if they regret it. By the time they regret it, you've moved on. Let that sink in, my friends. That's the ultimate comeback. Not the moment they realize what they lost. Not the text they send when they feel your absence. No, the real win is that by the time they regret letting you go, you've flown so high, their regret doesn't even reach you. Picture this. You're like a bird soaring above the clouds. They're still down there, caught up in the noise, in the drama, in the games. But you're flying too high for any of that to touch you. Their regret, it's just distant noise below. You've risen into your peace, into your power, into a life that feels so good, their return wouldn't shake you. That's your comeback. Because here's the truth. Your rise isn't about them noticing. It's about you owning your worth so completely that their realization comes too late. And it doesn't matter anyway. Say it with me. I rise above. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you're flying too high for regret to pull you back down. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more reminders that your peace is your power. Stay with me. This is just the beginning. So, my friends, as we wrap this up, remember, your worth isn't proven by who regrets losing you. It's shown by how high you rise without them. If this spoke to you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs this, and subscribe for more powerful reminders. Stay rising.